Alright everybody, welcome back to the channel. So over the last year, Fortnite mini events seem to be becoming more and more common. So I thought, you know what, let's go back and rank them from best to worst. And just quickly, I'm going to clear up what I count as a mini event. A mini event is exactly as described. It is just a miniature version of a large-scale Fortnite event. But still, there will be some things that I omit. So something like the earthquake showing up in Season 7 to hype up the whole Season 8 volcano area, those would not make the list. But something like, I don't know, the Kevin the Cube melting event or the pipeline explosion event, those count as mini events and they will be going on the list. But anyway, with that long-ass intro out of the way, let's kick off things and start at the common section of our ranking. At the number 18 spot is Remix Prelude. Now listen, I don't think this is just the worst mini event of all time. I think this is a contender for one of the worst events of all time. It has to have been the most boring live event Fortnite has ever hyped up. You know, they had the whole like timer going on. There was like a whole beacon at the middle of the map, only for them to find out they were basically just watching a live stream of a concert happening in the middle of Times Square. Like, I mean, if Fracture gets its name dragged through the mud, this one doesn't even get its name dragged through the mud. Everyone just forgot about it as soon as it ended. And of course, this was the end of chapter event, but it didn't even end the chapter. You could go in after this event ended and play a match. Alright, yeah, but no, Remix Prelude, it's fairly clowned on. Everybody still makes fun of it. It was just a generally bad event. But following that one up at number 17 spot is Absolute Doom. I don't even think this one had a name. Now listen, Chapter 5 kind of had this whole thing where for the live events, you basically have this huge health bar. And when the entire community got the health bar all the way down to the bottom, the second half of the event would play. Now listen, I don't like these kinds of events. I think they were a stupid addition. I think they are the opposite of what live events should be. Listen, basically how the event went, the timer ticked down to 0, and then there was a tiny bit of dialogue at the beginning, and then it just hard cut into a cutscene. But they did something so stupid with this cutscene, and that was the fact that they didn't have a safe zone for it. So you could fully be watching the cutscene and you get killed in the middle of it. That's what happened to me and my friends. We were going around and the cutscene played, and we got shot by some bots wandering around who obviously weren't affected by the cutscene. And then what? It cut to the gameplay section, and people shot it. I think it was only 40 minutes. I mean, and then Doom just died, and the season effectively ended there. That was the entire like climax of Absolute Doom. Then we just cut straight into Fortnite Bears. It is potentially one of the most disappointing mini events of all time, and that's why it's earned its place all the way down at the bottom of the list. Alright, and coming up next at the number 16 spot is the New Year's Eve event. Now this is a nice one. I can't really insult this one. It's just a tiny bit too much on the simple side. It's a little neat touch, and if you're not familiar, every single hour on New Year's Eve, a kind of little rift opens up in the sky. This like ball comes out. It's really cool animation. Then it turns into a boogie bomb, counting down from like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then it makes everybody in the lobby dance, which is so cool. It's like a whole map-wide tackle time, if anyone remembers that all the way back from Season X. Now listen, do I think this is the best event in the world? No, it's not the best event in the world, but it's a nice little touch. I enjoy it. Alright, and following that one up at the number 15 spot is the Abduction mini event from Chapter 2 Season 7. Now yes, if you're new to Fortnite, you might be surprised. Mini events did actually occur in earlier chapters. But honestly, these were really cool mini events. I mean, for this one in particular, obviously the season was based around an alien spaceship hanging over the island. And throughout the season, it would go around the island, picking up like points of interest and taking like the major buildings from them, sucking them up into the spaceship. It was a really cool thing. It'd open up like mid-match, it sent out a little beam, and it enabled like anti-grav in the entire area while it was hanging over it. Absolutely by no means isn't bad. It's just fallen to the bottom of the list because there's better ones. I think that going past this point, all the mini events are decent. They're okay. Hey, you know what? On that note, at the number 14 spot, we have the Mariah Carey concert from last year's Winterfest. Now, this was actually a pretty cool thing because when we joined in Winterfest, there was this huge like block of ice suddenly on the map. And honestly, it was really cool seeing it because everyone was wondering what it was. It took me straight back to like Chapter 1 days where the cube had just arrived on the map because it took everybody about 2 seconds of thinking before going, oh no, that's Mariah Carey melting in the ice. And of course, the day came, the ice started to melt, and there was a cool little concert, you know, for the people that were sticking around waiting for the ice to melt. I mean, yeah, she sung All I Want for Christmas Is You to You. Everybody else could do the same dance. You got to try all the emote from the shop, which I think was pretty cool, actually. It was just a really nice Christmas thing. I hope they do it again this chapter. Alright everybody, we're heading into the rare tier now, and kicking it off is the Chapter 5 Season 3 mini-event, the Pipeline Explosion. Now listen, I'm just gonna say, I have issues with this event. It was such a short event. It barely lasted half a minute. Like, I mean, the timer ticked down all the way to 0. I'm gonna be honest, I think I could comfortably fit this entire event into a GIF. I mean, yeah, sure, the nuke explosion was super cool, all that kind of stuff. I absolutely love visuals in events. That's what I go for, that's what I rank can buy. This one had a really nice visual, but I remember watching this with my dad, and even he looked at me. He doesn't play the game. He looked at me and he went, "Is that it?" I mean, it didn't really do anything interesting. It came out of nowhere. Obviously, it got hijacked by Doctor Doom for some reason. I don't even know why Doctor Doom decided to do this. I feel they just wanted to segue into the Marvel season somehow. But yeah, it's funny. I've literally been talking about this event longer than the event actually lasted. It was so mid. It was beyond mid. I didn't enjoy it. All right, and coming up next is something that was on my major live events list, but you know what? By technicality, I did merge this event with another one to call it one huge event. So listen, I've just chopped them back up again and I've placed them around this list. And of course, it is the cube spawning in event. Now, yes, I think this was really cool. I mean, if you want to talk about a long event, this thing had almost the entire first half of the season as build-up. I mean, of course, the event really began with the rocket flying into the sky, creating the rift in the blast off event. And the rift slowly shrunk over the course of season 5 until it became really purple, and just out of nowhere, it spawned in the cube. Now, is this event better than all the ones that have come before it? Obviously. But is it the best event on this list? Absolutely not. As much as I'm glazing it up right now, it didn't really do that much more than the pipeline explosion, and that's why it's in up all the way down at the number 12 spot. Alright everyone, we're going to kind of blast through the next two on this list because they are kind of the same event, but I did separate them because I felt they were spaced apart enough to be considered two slightly different events. And starting it off at the number 11 spot is the Titan Hand Emerging event from Chapter 5 Season 1. Now listen, I'm going to give this one its merits. I'm going to view it through the lens at the time. This was technically, if you ignore the Big Bang, this was the first actual mainstream live event to happen on the island since, I think, like Chapter 3 Season 2. You know what, I'm going to give it points for that, but the thing is, it didn't really do much, right? It's a mini event. What can you expect from it? I know, but all it really was a hand. Obviously, it had the build-up with the earthquakes. I forgot to mention that, but the hand kind of came out. It was really cool, and then the event was over. And I gotta say, that's my one issue with a lot of mini events. Most of them barely last a minute, but this one was actually really cool. They had a whole thing where you had to shoot the chains off the box to release it. I mean, obviously, I mentioned earlier with the Absolute Doom event, Chapter 5 had this kind of habit with making community-fed events, but this was the best they've ever done it. It did what it needed to do for a mini event. Hey, and I've literally just mentioned it. At the number 10 spot is the Pandora Box opening event. Now, this one was actually pretty cool. Obviously, as I was literally just saying, the community was working together to shoot this thing down. And when it finally did, it opened up, releasing a whole whirlwind of like spirits and evils and all that kind of stuff. It was a really cool animation. There's just one thing that kind of confused me about this event, and it's just the fact that the effects for the box, you know, the little whirlwind funnel thing, it went through the hand. I don't understand why they did that. They could have put it anywhere else so it didn't clip through anything. They must have had the OG devs working on it or something like that. But no, short but sweet event. It literally lasted 10 seconds. There's not really much more I can talk about. Okay, everyone, now we're heading into epic rarity. And we're actually getting to the part of the list where I start to care about the events that I'm talking about. Hey, and you know what? Starting off, we have the original community-led mini event, which is the Season 8 Dig Sites. Now, I gotta say, this was really, really cool. I mean, of course, it felt just a tiny bit more immersive. Listen, as much as the Pandora's Box one was cool, you were basically just shooting at a chain until it fell down. I mean, for this one, you actually dug it up with your pickaxe, and it just felt 10 times as immersive. Of course, it was tied into the lore at the time. And of course, this eventually led to the uncovering of the Loot Lake Vault, which was actually really, really cool. It was a really cool way of making a brand new point of interest. Now, listen, is it the best community-led mini event on this list? Absolutely not. There's one coming up very soon on this list, which I think is just ever so slightly better. But for what it was at the time, which was the first ever, of course, I've already mentioned, it was actually really good. I mean, props to Epic Games for hitting it right out the ballpark on the first try. You know, you gotta give it to them. Alright, and a lot of you were asking for this on the last ranking video. It is live from Risky Reels, Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. This event does have its flaws. It kind of had the remix prelude issue where you were just kind of watching a screen or somebody talk for most of it. But this event has one thing going for it, which was the absolutely insane intro and outro to this event, which was obviously all the Star Destroyers coming in, chasing the Millennium Falcon. It was all flying around. It was just pure Star Wars. I said before in the last one, I'm a huge Star Wars nerd. I'm absolutely biased on this kind of thing. But the way they did this event was really smart. Now, I do think it was rigged. I'm pretty sure most of the other ones were just jaw captions like Darth Jar Jar kind of thing. And the clip we did get was basically just them walking down a corridor, which was a little bit disappointing. But then it led into like a weekend I treasure so deeply in my heart, which was at the very end of the event, they added in lightsabers, which is so cool for the first time ever, I want to say. But hey, you know what? Yeah, we're definitely in the part of the list where things are getting good. And I really like this event. It was really good. And following that one up at the number 7 spot is the Loot Lake Rune event. Now, I don't think they actually ever got an official name, but these were some really interesting, like, little mini events. I mean, you had the first one, which had, like, I believe it was 1,000,000 HP. You got it down to 0. It moved a tiny bit. You kept it going until it got to a specific point. It aligned itself and it came back to the vault and absolutely slammed down. I don't really remember them all. It was like 6 or 7 years ago at this point, but honestly, this was really interesting. This is the best they've done a community-led event in Fortnite history. So yeah, while it didn't really do anything insane for a mini event, it was really, really cool. Alright everybody, now we're heading into Legendary tier, and we're going to kick it off with the Daigo Portal event from Chapter 6, Season 2. I mean, you had a huge spectacle factor every match, every single match this little mini-event would play. I mean, you'd load in, you'd be in the battle bus, and you'd see a beam absolutely ravage, just like collect itself together and then absolutely shoot upwards in a display of energy. It was so cool. Absolutely took me off guard the first time I saw it. I was like, wait, what is an event going on? It was really mad that this was every single match. And of course, it only kept getting bigger as already showing in the background. Listen, honestly, for a 10-second mini event that happens as you're jumping out the battle bus, it was pretty cool. I can't knock it for what it was, but what it was wasn't very much. But anyway, enough about that. Following that up at the number 5 spot, we're now in the top 5, is the Kevin Cube melting event. Oh yeah, I put this way above the spawning in event, and there's so many reasons why I've done it. I mean, of course, you actually had the whole thing where there was music while it was going into the lake, a little haunting choir as it went in, slowly ramping up in intensity until absolute silence. When you thought it was over, melting in, the lake just lit up with purple energy. It was mad. Honestly, I had nothing bad to say about this event. It did what it had to do. It capped off the whole Kevin storyline until Season 6 began. This little event here should be what mini events strive to be. It should be just something little cool. It doesn't have to be much, but it has to be something, which is what a lot of the ones at the bottom of this list didn't get. It wasn't enough. This is what they should be as a standard. Okie dokie then, following that one up at the number 4 spot in our mini events ranking is Welcome or Alien Overlords. No, wait. I know this one is in hot water with the community right now. I mean, not many people like it. So many people were like let down by it. Everybody was so upset with it. And you know what? I have my issues with it. You know, while it was setting up a huge cliffhanger, I mean, then it just basically cut into a literal Simpsons episode. I didn't like that. But I actually really enjoyed the first half of this event. I mean, of course, you have the first part where the rift fractures open, the Dark Presence climbs through. It's so cool. Now, I don't like to use modern words a lot, but it's aura. That's what it is. It's aura farming. And then, of course, the tentacle comes down, goes to hit the people, and then it cuts out, blacks out, and then it becomes the Simpsons episode. I mean, obviously, we're well into Chapter 7 at this point. The Simpsons has warmed on me as a concept in Fortnite, but at the time, it just felt really weird. The second half of this event just felt awkwardly shunted in, but the first half was so good, it could carry it all the way to the number 4 spot. Alrighty then, now we're heading into Mythic Rarity, and starting it off is something that's going to surprise you. It's a Chapter 5 mini event. It didn't actually have a name, but we're going to call it the Sandstorm event. Alright, let's break this event down. The huge statue on Mount Olympus comes to life, raises its sword in the air, strikes a bolt down on the Pandora's box, it splinters it open, and a huge sandstorm forms, with a really cool riff playing in the background as well. I'll play it for you now. I'm not gonna lie, it kind of felt like an original Chapter 1 event in that kind of sense. But yeah, honestly, this was just a really good event. I don't really have much to say about it. I mean, I've been struggling with that the entire list. These events are only like a minute long at maximum. If you don't mind, leave a like and subscribe. It really means the world to me. Thank you all so much for your support. But you're all waiting for it. Let's get into the top 2. And starting off at number 2 is Chapter 6 Season 3's Super Showdown live event. Now this is cool. I can't even deny it. This felt like a full live event. I don't understand it. How is this a mini event? It had a full boss fight, even if it was a bit underwhelming. The whole ending bit where Superman just came in. I don't know why we had to fend off if he could have just come in and done that entire time. That is one issue I had with it. A lot of it is just standing still and shooting. But there were so many cool little parts of the event. I mean, you had like the whole battle pass show up. Obviously, they're the superhero team with a little calling cards. I'll show a couple of them on screen right now. I mean, you had the tentacle rising out and like absolutely thwacking the main villain, literally snapping him out of it. You know what? Honestly, I almost counted this as a live event, and that just goes to show how cool this little mini event is. I'm absolutely glazing this event, but as I'm sure you've all noticed, it's not at the number 1 spot. So, what is? And sitting all the way at the top of the list, at the number 1 spot, is the Shogun X battle from Chapter 6, Season 1. Now, this is by far the coolest looking mini event we have ever had. Of course, I'm going to mention that little moment where Shogun X like slashes Daigo with a sword and it all goes like red and black. That is such a cool moment. I think that's the first time we've seen a visual like that in Fortnite history, and I don't think they could ever do it again. It perfectly fit the Japanese vibe of the season. I mean, of course, you got the whole thing where they were battling all over the mountains. You had the beginning where Shogun X absolutely face slammed Daigo into the ground. That was insane, even if it was at like 10 FPS for whatever reason. See, the thing is, the top 2 for this list is just so unfair to the rest of the list, and in my opinion, you can definitely swap the top 2 around, that's for sure. This is my favorite mini event of all time. They completely knocked it out of the park with this one. It's absolutely perfect, and that's why it's sitting up all the way at the top of the list. Alright everybody, that's the end of the ranking, but please stay around, like seriously, actually fully stay around. I need your help. I am running out of ideas for ranking. Now see, the issue is, I'm just not the other guy. I cannot come up with a million ideas every day, so I'm asking for your help. In the comments down below, please leave a message on something you'd like me to rank, or maybe even a different kind of video you'd like to see me do. But hey, you know what else would mean the world to me? If you liked and subscribed. I haven't been saying that in my videos. I've been missing out on likes and subscribes. But you know what, that's enough outro. Hey, just take care of yourself, have an amazing day, drink some water, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.